Welcome to part 2 of the Excel portfolio project. If you haven't watched part 1, then please watch that first. I'm going to put a link in the description below. So in today's video, I'm going to be analyzing the data set. So I'm going to be creating pivot tables, bar charts, slicers, data bars, and then I'm finally going to show my dashboard at the end. So this is a very simple analysis, and I thought it would be a good way to just break down how to create a dashboard and how to analyze a data set. But if you want to go into more depth, or if you want to do it in your own way, then please feel free to do so. So I'm actually going to hide my face throughout the whole video so that you can see the full screen and you can follow step by step exactly what I'm doing. So please like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy the video.
So let's get straight into it. So the first thing we're going to do is just duplicate the Amazon pre-processing worksheet. So we're going to right click, click move or copy, create a copy, and then this is just, which order you want the new worksheet to be in. So I'm just going to click before Amazon pre-processing, then click OK. So it's going to make the duplicate, and then we're going to rename this Amazon clean. So this worksheet is just for all the clean columns, or all the columns that we're going to analyze in the EDA worksheet, which we're going to create soon. And it's also because we don't want to disrupt the previous worksheet we've made, or if we did want to go back for any, if we've made any errors, or we just want to double check any data, we're able to go back to the pre-processing. And then we can take another step further, and if we made a error in the pre-processing stage, we can then go to the raw data and see if it matches, or to see what went wrong also. So it's always good practice just to create a new worksheet every time you do a new step. So this is the Amazon clean worksheet, and what we're going to do is we're going to delete all the columns that we're not going to analyze. So I think with image link we're probably not going to use that, so we can just click on the column and then just press delete. We're going to delete these ones as well, so we're going to delete product link and this column here. Okay, so this is why we highlighted all the columns we wanted green, all the clean columns green and yellow, so that we know which ones we want to keep and which ones we no longer need to use. So with product ID and category, we don't really need, because we use the category to extract the main category using the VLOOKUP. And as I said in part 1, if I was to delete this category, then there would be errors all over here, which is why we copied and pasted the values only, so that when we delete these values, it won't affect this column here. So we're gonna delete A, B, and C, so product ID, category, and main category. So we're gonna right click and delete. There's different ways you can do this. You can highlight it and press delete, right click and press delete, and I'm sure there's options in the tab above where you can delete columns also. So we're going to delete that. We're going to need the actual price and price clean. So we wanted it in pounds, and it was originally in Indian rupees. So obviously you can do whatever currency you would like, but I did it in pounds. So I'm going to delete these 3 columns as they're not needed. Right click, delete. Oh, so this is actually good. I made a mistake. Actually, looking at it again, we didn't make any mistakes. So if we just go back quickly so I can explain, Control C. So this is the column that had all the errors, but we actually copied and pasted the values here. So this was referencing the actual percentage and the actual price when we want to calculate the discounted percentage, but we then copied and pasted the values here. So it's actually fine. So we can again delete these columns. We can delete the discount percentage column because we copied and pasted the values here. We don't need the actual percentage. This was just so we can calculate the percentage clean, the discount percentage clean column. So we can delete that. We can just make this green just so it can just be a bit clearer. So we're obviously going to want the discount percentage just so we can calculate different numbers like the average percentage, or the percentage per product, or per category. So I think it'll be a really good insight to keep. we have the rating, and we have rating category in terms of the 4 categories that we put in. So we can delete this column here. Okay, we're going to keep rating so that we can see the ratings of different categories. I think that would also be a good insight. Rating count is a good one to keep. Hour of purchase is definitely something we want to keep, so we're going to highlight these two green also. We actually use this as a reference, so we're going to delete this column. Okay, just scrolling down. Days of the week we definitely want to keep. Actually, no, we've referenced it, so I think it'll be okay to delete these 2 columns, and if needed we can go to the Amazon pre-processing stage since we duplicated the worksheet and then bring it back if needed. But I don't believe we'll use that. And also delete this column. Delete. Okay. So here we have all the columns and the data we're going to use for our analysis. So we have the main category, which splits the products into the first category on Amazon. Of course, there were a lot of subcategories, but I thought it would be best just to analyze the main one, because it's just going to be really messy and just too much information if there was a lot of subcategories. We have the price. So let me change these column names so it's a bit easier to understand. So we can change this to price clean. Discount percentage, okay. Discount percentage clean. We can just write discount price. We rating is okay, rating category is fine. Let's just remove the 2. Remove the 2. We have rating count, which is the rating count of each product. Hour of purchase in terms of the part of the day, and then we have day of the week also. So we're gonna just change this title to, what could we call it? We could just write day category. Let's write day cat. Okay, cool. So now we have all the columns that are clean. We're going to then make this, oh, it's already a table. Okay, we're going to change the table name into something that's more appropriate. So we're going to change the name into the same name as the worksheet, so Amazon clean. So yeah, so now we have all the columns that we need for analysis. Let's just expand the columns so it's more clearer. So we have all the column names we need. We have it all highlighted. It's all really clear. There's no duplicates, there's no white spaces, and it's all just clean. They are ready to be analyzed. So now we're going to start the exploration of the data set. So this is where we create our pivot tables, and we're just going to analyze different columns, see any correlations, see any insights, and then we're going to create our dashboard. So to create a pivot table, we're going to click on insert and then pivot table. So once we click on pivot table, this prompt is going to pop up and it's going to just ask us what the table range is. So in this case, it's Amazon clean, which is the whole table that we called it before. And then we want it in a new worksheet. So it's going to create a whole new worksheet and then place the pivot table there. So we're going to click on OK. So now it's created a new worksheet called sheet 5 with the pivot table, and then we have all the column names here, as well as all the different ways that we can display the data. So we're going to rename the worksheet to EDA, which is Exploration Data Analysis. So this is just exploring the different insights and the different things that we can maybe put on our dashboard. So we just want to share the main insights or something that's actually meaningful to whoever we're going to be presented to, whoever we're going to be showing our analysis to. So before we start the EDA, I think it'll be good just to color code each worksheet so we know which one's clean, which one's the one that we're not supposed to touch, which is the raw data, and then just any worksheets that we're not really gonna look at in general. So we can make this worksheet Amazon clean into, I think green is probably the better option. And then we're gonna make this yellow. I think it's appropriate color. We're gonna make the raw data, so the Amazon worksheet red, just to make it clear that this is the raw data that shouldn't be touched. And then for every worksheet that we're not really going to look into or analyze for the rest of the project, we can make this color, let's say purple, probably nice. So now I'm just going to make all of the worksheets that we haven't really used or we're not going to analyze, or that's not in the Amazon clean worksheet, purple. And I think it's really important just to not delete any data, again, just in case you want to create a more in-depth analysis, or if you made mistakes, or if you just want to go back and double check some things. It's always good to keep all the data that you've had, unless you've been told otherwise. And then we'll make EDA, can make this orange. Okay, cool. So these are all the column names from the Amazon Clean dataset. So I think the first thing to look at, which would be really good, is to look at all the main categories that we extracted from the VLOOKUP. So if you just go back, so it'll be these columns here that we extracted from the categories worksheet when we split it into all the categories, and we split it based off the commas. So going back to EDA, so the way we create the pivot table is we can either click on main category and it will just assume that you want to put in the row section, or you can drag the column into the row section. So yeah, so we have all the categories in rows and we want to give it values. So I think we can also do the main category, but we can do the count. So I think this would be really good because this looks at the count of each category, so how much times each category has been sold, and then we can look at which one is more popular, which one's not as popular, and then maybe take our insights as to why certain ones are popular and go into more depth. So we have all of the rows and all of the counts. So we have electronics being the highest, just looking at it straight off the bat, at 526 purchases. We have 448 with home and kitchen, then computer and accessories, and then quite a few of them are just quite ones and twos, which is quite low. So we might remove it or just want to look at specific categories to show either the employer or just to get a good analysis out of it. So when we're creating a dashboard, we only want to take out and show the data that has meaning or has some sort of message or story behind it. If it doesn't really have a message, doesn't really have a story, you can talk about it, but it's not really good to put it inside your dashboard. You only want to put your key insights, the main things you wanted to share with the stakeholders in the company, because if you show them a dashboard and you just show them information that's not really necessary, or there's not really like a meaning to it, then it's just going to be a waste of their time. So only taking out information that's key and that's, I guess, important to the stakeholders, and making sure there's actually a story behind it and it's not just random data being put in the dashboard. So yes, I think it's a good first graph to have. So we're going to create a new pivot table, and it's going to ask for the table range. So we can either go to the Amazon Clean worksheet and then highlight the whole table, or we can just type in the table name, which is Amazon Clean, and it should know exactly what I'm trying to reference. And yeah, that worked. So we have, because I just typed in the table name, it was able to find the table and then take out all the column names that I wanted, so I can use for my EDA. So I think the next thing to look at, which would be good, is when people purchase products the most in terms of the week and also in terms of part of the day. So do they purchase in the morning, the evening, the afternoon, and also which day of the week do they purchase? So we're going to look at day of the week for sure. So that's going to look at all of the days of the week. And we're also going to look at, I think, the count of the category again, so we know how much has been purchased on each day. So we'll do count. It already knows to do count, which is great. So before so I think this looks good. So we have, how much products have been bought on which days, so we can see which ones are most popular. I think we can already tell that Friday and Saturday is definitely the most popular, which makes a lot of sense. Everyone's trying to splash money when Friday hits or when payday hits, so it makes a lot of sense that people are going to purchase more products on Friday and Saturday. So I think it would be good to have the day category clean column as well, so we can see exactly how much, so the split between morning, evening, afternoon, and night, which I think is really good. We don't really want the grand totals, so there's a way we can turn that off. We probably want it for this pivot table because we would like to know how much has been bought throughout the whole week. But in this case, I don't think it's really necessary. So we can click on design. Then we go to subtotals or grand totals, and then we can click on off for rows and columns. So this then just takes it away because we don't want that data in the graph. We don't want the total for each row and for each part of the day, but we definitely want it for this pivot table for the KPIs, which I'm going to explain later. So cool. So I think these two pivot tables and later on graphs are going to be, it's definitely a good start. I think we can definitely do more analysis on the ratings. Let's just see our clean data. Yeah, I think looking at discount, maybe looking at the rating, comparing that to the main category and the day of the week as well, I think would be really, really good. So again, insert, this is good practice just to create pivot tables. Amazon clean. Okay. So I think the next thing is what? Oh yeah, right, rating. So we can look at category clean. I think pretty much all of these are going to be looking at all the different categories because this is what we have as a reference to how much items have been bought. So we have category clean and we have the rating category. So I think that would be good. So we can put that in columns. So we're gonna have the split for each rating category, and then we want the rating count. So this is gonna split all the ratings into the main categories and the rating category as well that we made. So excellent, fair, poor, and goods, which is 4+, 3+, 2+, and 1+. We want to remove the grand total again, so we just go to design. Then we're going to go to grand totals, and then we're going to switch off rows and columns. So this just has all the columns data from the Amazon Clean dataset and, nothing more, nothing less. So I think it'll be good to create one more pivot table, and for this one to include more of the money side, so maybe the sum of sales, the average discount per category. So we're going to insert a table. Oh, it seems to be lagging a little bit. Switch. Okay. So insert pivot table, type in Amazon Clean. Okay. And now we're gonna click on main category in rows. Then we're going to do price. We want the discount price actually because we want the price that it's been sold at, not the original. So we're gonna use price clean. So it's given us the count of discount price, which should be equal to the count of the main category because it's going to show how many times it's been bought at that price for that category. So it's going to end up being the same as this, which makes sense. But we don't want the count, we want the sum. So to do that, we're going to go to count of discount price, then we're going to click on value field settings, and then it's going to give us a list of different functions that we could use, but we want the sum, so we're going to click on the sum function, click OK, and it's, oh, okay, interesting. So we have a error here in the electronics category. So this is why it's really good that we've broken it down into each step and created a new worksheet for every phase. So now we can just go back, debug, and figure out exactly why we have an error here in the electronics category. So we're going to go to the Amazon Clean dataset, Control Home to go to the top. So I think the first thing to do is to maybe go to the main category and filter it out by electronics. Should be good. And then the rating that we use to, I guess, bring out the error, I mean the column that we used to bring out the error was the discount price. So we can just scroll down and see if there's anything that stands out. And okay, so we have the value error here, so we can deselect everything and then only select value. Okay, cool. So we have an error at price clean and we have an error at discount price. So it means because we got a discount price from the price clean, this is probably where the error started, the error occurred. So we need to go one step further and then go back to the Amazon pre-processing and then do the same thing, Control Home. So since we know now where the error is, we can just go straight to the discount price, and then we're going, there should be one that says value here. Okay, so we're going to deselect everything and then only select value and see what comes up. Okay, so it seems that it wasn't able to calculate the actual price, which is, oh, okay, so here's the error, I believe. So when we cleaned this column previously and we ordered it, it seemed that it registered as numbers for every cell, but this seems to be an anomaly, or for some reason it can't register this as a number even though it registered other numbers with 2 commas. So let's see if that is actually the error. So we can remove the commas here and here and then see what happens. Okay, so this is definitely the error. So it just wasn't able to register as a number, so it returned the value prompt. So why does it say, okay, so since we copied and pasted the value only of this cell, let me just go back. We copied and pasted the value of this cell, which is value, and then so it pasted it here. And then when we copied and pasted the whole worksheet and created Amazon Clean, it returned the same value. So gonna just remove the commas again. Okay, cool. So we're gonna copy and paste the value only into here. And then we're gonna want to go back. We're gonna want to copy and paste this value and then go back to the Amazon Clean dataset and then copy and paste the correct value here also. So paste values only. Well, actually this would be for the price clean column, right? Because that's the original. So we're gonna copy this and paste it here. And then we want the discounted price. So we go to Amazon pre-processing and the discount price is here. Also, we've copy and pasted the actual value, but that's okay because this originally was value, but because we fixed the initial error, it then fixed the discount percentage, but this wasn't changed because we copied and pasted the literal character's value into it. So we can copy and paste, copy and then paste it here. And we can also go back to Amazon Clean and then paste it here. Perfect. So now we can clear the filters and also clear this filter. Go back to EDA. The error is still there, but it's fine. We just need to refresh the page. So we can do this by clicking on the pivot table and then clicking refresh. So now that's done, just expand the column name. We can start our, actually there's some more things we can add onto here to get a more in-depth analysis. So maybe we can do discount price, but instead of the sum, we're gonna get the average, I think would be good, of each category. So right click, sorry, not right click, click on the arrow, value field settings, and then click on average. Okay, so now we have an average of all of the products in each category. Why is this the same? Oh, that makes sense. There's only one, I'm assuming. Yes, there's only one value for car and motorbike and some other categories also, so the average is going to be the same. And we also want these values in dollars or in pounds, so we can do this by highlighting all of the numbers we want in currency, clicking on the number section and then changing it to currency, and then we have it in currency, in pounds. And we want to do the same for, well, we didn't reference sales anywhere else, so that's fine. Do we want the sum? Yeah, I think the grand totals should be okay. Actually, no, we have the sum. We can calculate the sum elsewhere in the KPIs, so I think for now, let's go to design and just turn off the rows and columns. And maybe one more thing we could add is more information to do with the rating. So I think we definitely want to include just the average rating per category. So I dragged the rating category, I dragged the rating to the value section, and then I'm gonna click on the arrow, value view, field settings, and then click on average, and then change this to numbers, not currency. Okay, so this is the average rating for each category. So, you know, for example, for car and motorbike, the average rating was 3.8. For electronics, it was 4.08, and so on and so forth. So I think it would be good to have this in the pivot table and in our chart for sure, just to see which one has the highest average rating or which one's doing well, which ones aren't doing so well. But just looking right off the bat, they all seem to be pretty good. They all seem to be around 4, which is a good rating. So one more thing we can include is the sum of the rating count. So we're going to drag rating count here and then click on the arrow, value field settings, then click on the sum, and then change the data format to numbers, and then remove the decimals. So here we have, yeah, I think it's a pretty good pivot chart. So we have the sum of the discount of the price, basically, essentially, for each category. And then we have the average discount price, so the average price of each category. We have the average rating, and we have the sum of, so basically how much ratings each category got altogether. So I think these are 4 strong pivot tables to start with that we can analyze and visualize as well using our dashboard. But I think we're pretty much done with the EDA. If you guys wanted to create more pivot tables, or you wanted to analyze different things, or even if you wanted to include other data sets and combine it, you guys could do that. Again, this is just a beginner project, just to practice using different formulas, practice going through the different phases and creating pivot tables and using VLOOKUPs and sort of debugging if you have errors. But if you want to add anything, if you want a more in-depth analysis, again, you can definitely do that. You don't have to do everything I do word for word. So yeah, so we're pretty much done with the EDA. So let's create our dashboards. So I did create one earlier, but it's just a new worksheet. I can just do it again. just to make sure. So we're going to create a new worksheet by clicking on the plus sign, and it's going to create sheet 7. I move the Coles dictionary towards the end just for it to, just for aesthetics, and then I'm going to rename this dashboard. Cool. So firstly, we just want to make it look like, you know, a dashboard and something that we can present to, you know, all stakeholders in the company or whoever you are presenting to. So I think the first thing to do is create the background of the dashboard. So we're going to do that by removing the grid lines first off. So we're going to go to view, and then we're going to unclick the grid lines button in the show section. And then that's going to remove all the grid lines so that we can show the visualizations properly and it just stands out, and that so it just looks more presentable also. So we're also going to change the background color to, I think gray is probably a good color for now. So I just did it up to a column Q, but I can make it bigger if needed. So we're going to make a title now. So we're going to insert a text box. So we're going to go on the insert section, go all the way to the right, and then we're going to click text and then text box. And then we're going to select it over the top of the dashboard. And then we're going to type in Amazon sales analysis for the title. Then we're going to put in the center, change the color. Oh, that's the background. Change the color to something that looks more like it's from Amazon. I think yeah, that looks pretty good. And then we're going to make it a bit bigger so it's just clearer to see. So I think 24 is good. And then it is a weekly report, so maybe just put in week report so it's clear. But we're going to make that a lot smaller and change the color to, like, and maybe put it in italics, I think would be good. Okay. Colors, automatic. So now we need to create our visualizations for all the pivot tables that we created in the EDA. So we're going to go back to the EDA, create all of our charts, whether it's a table, a bar, chart, a line graph. We're going to format it correctly, you know, make it look nice and pretty for the stakeholders and for the dashboard. And then we're going to go back and then move or copy all the visualizations and then place it in and place the charts accordingly. So we're going to go to the EDA now, and I'm going to create a bar chart for the first pivot table. Actually, let me make some space. So I'm just going to expand this so I have some space. So I'm going to highlight this whole table, and then I'm going to insert and then click on bar chart. So it's going to be in the chart section. So there's many different like charts you can use. It's debatable which ones are best, but I think in general, like bar charts and line charts are definitely better. And if it's like over time, over a period of time, then it's always going to be a line chart. But if it's for looking at like the counts and the sum of different things of different categories, then I think a bar chart is always best. But it definitely depends. So this is our bar chart. It doesn't look very nice, so we're just gonna change a few things. So we're going to click on a plus sign, and then we're going to remove a legend because we don't need it. We're also going to hide this filter that it's automatically applied. So we're going to do hide all fill buttons on chart. And then we're going to change the title to, we can say count for now, I guess, count per category. And then we can also change the color, I think, to orange. So the way to format it in more detail is by double clicking the graph, and then this should pop up, which is the format chart area, and then you can change the details of the chart in more detail. So we're gonna click on the bar chart, and then we're gonna change it to orange. Okay, I think this looks pretty decent. Oh, we also want to remove the lines to make it look cleaner, because we have the numbers on the account on the side, so we don't need the grid lines. Okay, cool. Moving on to the next pivot table. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to highlight the whole table. Go to insert, chart, and we're probably going to want a clustered table for this. So yep, just going to move things to the sides. If you want more space and it's not really moving, you can just press tab and it will create more space, or just move to the side of the Excel worksheet for you. So let's press tab again. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to remove or hide all the filled buttons. We're going to add a title, and we're going to call this sales per day. So now we're going to want to change the colors to make it look nicer and just keep it consistent. So we're going to click on the first bar, which is afternoon, and we're going to go to the fill section, go to the color, and then we're going to change it to, well, you can do any shade you want, but I'm going to stick to orange. Then click on the next bar. You also have set colors that you could use on the design section, which you can use to set colors automatically, but I want to set the colors for myself. So I'm going to choose the next color, which is the darker shade of orange. Then we have the darker shade. Okay, so yeah, I think this clearly shows which days are have the highest amount of sales, and also which part of the day has the highest amount of sales. So like Friday and Saturday morning has the highest amount of sales, which is interesting. I would have thought it would be the evening or the nighttime, but I guess Friday, based off this data set, Friday and Saturday morning is the most common time for people to purchase different items. So I think that's pretty good. I think we would want to highlight this as well, so we can insert, then we can go to shapes, click here, and then we're going to click on rectangle, and we basically want to highlight the main thing we want the stakeholder or the person we're presenting to see. So highlight that. We're going to increase the transparency to 100%, and we're going to go to line. We also want to change the color, so make that orange also. Or we can go to the top here in shape format, and then over shape styles we can just scroll, and I can just click the one I want. So I want the orange color, and I want to make the lines quite thick. Let me just change the transparency again, so we can increase the width of the line, which is good. Just make this a bit smaller. Great. So when I've read this rule that whenever you show a chart or visualization to someone, they should be able to see or figure out what you're talking about within the first 5 to 10 seconds. So I think if someone wants to see this, in 10 seconds they can figure out, okay, well, this is the sales per day. So you've got the sales, amount of sales, and you've got the per day, and then you have what they're trying to what the analyst is trying to show to me, which is there's quite high peaks in Friday and Saturday, and then you can also see the peaks in the mornings also. So for this table and the other table, I don't think we want to create a visualization. I think it would be better to leave it as tables, and then to show the difference between each cell compared to the category, I think it would be good to use data bars. So what is a data bar? I might hear you ask. I'm about to show you. So data bars are basically ways that you can show the difference in prices compared to the rest of the column. So it's essentially a bar chart, but in a table format. But it's easier to just show you rather than explain it. So we're going to highlight this whole column, click on conditional formatting, data bars, and then we can choose a color. So I'm going to choose orange. So as you can see, it colors the cells based on how much money there is. So 29,000 is obviously the highest. There's going to be way more filled than it is for 3,000 or 9,000 or £12 and so on and so forth. We're going to do the same for average price, conditional formatting, data bars, and then maybe do I think orange would be good, maybe a different shade of orange. An average rating or some, I think average rating will keep the same because I think we just want to show that all the main categories are around an average rating of 4. So if we did use data bars, it would just be roughly the same, so it wouldn't really represent much. So I think we'll leave that for now. But I think just showing them that all the main categories are 4 is definitely a good thing to take away. But we definitely want to use it for the rating count. So we're going to go to conditional formatting, data bars, and then we're going to use blue this time. I think just for consistency, we'll definitely use the same format. So we'll use green for now. And then here, let's expand this a little bit. So for this table, we're going to do the same conditional formatting. So we're going to highlight this column, go to conditional formatting, data bars, make this blue. So I think the darker the shade, the higher the rating, I think is a good rule. So I'm gonna do different shades of blue and then just go lighter and lighter each time. So go to fair, conditional formatting, data bars, more rules, color, then go a shade higher, okay, and then the same thing for goods. More rules. I'm gonna click on one shade higher, and then the last one, which is poor. More rows, color, and then started here 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. So going back to the first table we did conditional formatting on, I think I want to change some of the colors because I realized that, you know, one rule that I've also been taught is when you're representing the same thing between two different charts, you would want to use the same color. So if we're using the price or the amount of sales in, you know, in one chart, and you're doing the same thing but another format, another one, then you would want to use the same color. So for example, here we're using categories and account, and here we're using the cells. So they would both be in the same region of color because they both sort of represented the same thing. Whereas if it was, you know, one table to do with rating and then one table to do with sales, then you wouldn't want to use the same color because when people see, you know, blue now, because blue is now associated with rating. So if you see another table with blue and it doesn't represent rating, then it can just be, just annoying or just not consistent. So you want to pick a color for every sort of category or for every sort of aspect of the data set that you're trying to visualize. So that being said, so I'm going to change both of these to orange, or maybe an orange that I used in the previous chart. So I'm going to go to the color section again, click on orange, okay. And then discount is also part of these cells, so I'm just going to make it the same color but just a shade lighter. So using this, and then I think rating for blue is pretty good because we also use blue here. So when we associate blue with blue, we know that it's to do with rating. So now that we've done that, I think the next thing to do is change the names, because you know, if I was to put this on my dashboard and it says like sum of discount price underscore or average of discount price to, like, it just doesn't look good. So we're going to change that. For these two tables it's fine because we are using the graphs anyway, but for these ones we're definitely going to want to change it. So we could definitely write here sum of sales, sum of sales. Then here we can do average discount. This is actually supposed to be the average discount, so I'm going to change that quickly. So I'm going to remove the discount price. Okay, scrap that. So I'm going to remove the discount price, which is over here. So I'm going to remove fields, and I'm going to add discount percentage and then do the average of that. So value field settings, average, and then these are all percentages. So highlight it, go to the number section, then click on percentage. And then we're going to remove the decimal places also because it just looks cleaner. Okay, so I guess there were no discounts for toys and games. Let me just double check that quickly. So go into the Amazon Clean, deselecting everything and then selecting toys and games. Okay, that makes sense. So there's only one item sold within the toys and games category, and there was a 0% discount, so it makes sense why that's 0%. Just wanted to double check. So I'm going to apply the conditional formatting again. Data bars. Okay, it looks better. Go up here, change the name to average discount. Average rating. Then we have rating count. Going to put everything onto the left side. And then same thing here, just in case it's not. Put everything to the left side so it's easier to see. Okay. So I think there are a lot of categories where they're only selling one or two, so you're not able to get much insight from that. So we're definitely going to add a slicer for each of these tables, and then we're only going to click the top 4 categories, because the top 4 categories are where we're able to take out some real insights from and maybe tell a story, whereas the others where we're just setting one or two, there's not really much takeaways. So to do that, we're going to insert a slicer. So we'll click on insert. So we're going to click on slicer here. Then it's going to ask us for connections. So we're going to, we first have to highlight which tables that we want to include in the slicer. So we're going to highlight this table, click on slicer. Then we want to click on main category, as that's what we're going to filter it by. And now we have a list of all the categories available, and then we can just click on the ones that we want, which is cool. And then if we click on control, we can highlight the ones that we want specifically, and then it will appear. So we want this done for this table, for the chart also, and for this table. We don't need to include it for the graph that's here, for this graph here, because we want to see all the information, so it wouldn't be wise to include the slicer with this. So going back to the slicer, I think one thing we're going to do first before making those connections to the slicer is just naming the tables. So we're going to click on a pivot chart, then go to design, no, it's analyze, and then we're going to change the name. So we can call this count per cat. Then click on this table and call it rating cats. And then we'll click on this table and call it sales summary. So now we click on the slicer, click on the slicer settings at the top, and then report connections. So now that we've named each table, we're able to know which one is which. If we didn't name it, then it just would have been pivot table 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And then this would have been really confusing. So we want the first table here, which we named computer counts per category. And we also want the sales summary, and we want the, was that it? I think there was one more, the rating category as well. Oh, we highlighted that. Okay, great. So now that's done. As you can see, because I highlighted these 4, it's showing the 4 that I highlighted. But I wanted to show the top 4. So let's just clear the whole filter. So the highest 4 is electronics, computer accessories, home and kitchen, and office products. So I'm just going to click those 4. So we have home kitchen, computer and accessories, electronics, and office products. So we didn't want toys and games. So clear filters, electronics, home and kitchen, office products, and computers and accessories. We can leave that for now. Computers and accessories also. Electronics, home and kitchen, office products. Okay, so I think this looks pretty good. We're able to see the top 4 categories, and we can see it in a better, just in more depth, and it just looks a lot more cleaner. And we can see the average discount, sum of sales, the top 4 categories with the rating counts. And then here looks a lot cleaner also. So we have the excellent ratings, the fair, the good, and the poor. And this chart should be unaffected also. Yeah, it looks unaffected. Okay, great. So now we have all the information that I want to put onto the dashboard. I just need to move it across. So the first thing I'm going to do is select this graph, right click, move chart, and we're going to move it to the dashboard worksheet and click OK. Then I'm just going to move this here, make this a bit smaller, go back to the EDA and then do the same thing with this chart. So right click, move chart, drop down to dashboard, click OK. Okay, where did the chart go? There it is. So it's going to move it across. Then just make that a tad, I'll make this a bit bigger, to be honest. So we want to be able to see all 4 charts within the same page without really having to scroll. So I'm just going to edit these 2 really quick. We can also adjust these to match in terms of length and width, but we'll do that afterwards. Okay, going back to the EDA, we're going to highlight this whole table, copy it, and then paste. And then we're going to do the same with this table. So highlight the whole table, copy, and paste. Okay. So this is pretty much our dashboard, where we want to make it look way better. So we also need to include the slicer actually. So right click. We should have made the slicer in the other. Let's see if we can copy. I don't know if this will work, but okay, it worked. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so we also need to add our KPIs. So KPI is essentially the key performance indicators, and this just shows the overall performance of whatever we're analyzing. So in this case, because it's an Amazon sales weekly report, it'll be good to show the total amount of sales within the whole week, the average discount within the whole week, and maybe the count of how much sales, of how much products were sold also. So we're going to do that now. So we're going to just move everything a bit lower. So we're going to highlight this and just move it down. So I need to highlight this and move it down. We can change the background color afterwards. Then also main category, scroll up. Just gonna change the background color. Bring this down, bring this down. Cool. So we're gonna click on the text box and then text box, and then we're going to make about this big. Okay, then we need to get the actual number. So to get the sum of sales, we can just calculate the total here. So we go on back to pivot, design, and then we go on grand totals. We can do on for columns, and then we can see, we can copy and paste this number and then paste it here. Then go to home. We want to make this a currency, so we're gonna have to go back actually. Did it do it here? No. Go back and then, okay, make this into a currency. So when we copy and paste it, it keeps the same format. We don't want any decimals. So dashboard, scroll to the top, paste, and then we want to make that a bit bigger. Okay, so this is the sum of revenue. I think it'll be just nice to make that the same color as the title. No, not the background. We want the writing to be orange. Then we're just gonna make this a bit longer actually, and then just center everything. So you can make it look how you want to, but the KPI should generally definitely be at the top, as whenever we read anything, it's always from the top left to the bottom right. So we're gonna copy and paste this twice because we have 3 KPIs that we want to share. Okay, so the second thing we want to share is, let's see, so we can do total products sold, would definitely be a good one. So we're going to go back to EDA, scroll, control home. So 1,456 products were sold. So control C, and then we can highlight all of this using the same format. Sold, nope, it's sold. And then we can also do the average discount, I think would be a good one, of the whole week. So change this to average discount. And then go to EDA, find the discount section. So the average discount is 48%. So we can copy and paste this number, dashboard, paste it, and then just remove what's not necessary. Definitely don't want the pound sign. Okay, so this is our KPIs. So when we're presenting, we can talk through the general information of the week and then go deeper into the analysis. So I'm gonna leave this next bit to you guys, and then I'm just gonna do a little time skip to show you what I end up with in my dashboard, because I can tell this process can be a bit tedious with formatting and trying to make it look good and the sizings, and I don't want to make the video too long. So I'm gonna show you guys my final result, and then I'm just gonna talk through maybe different changes that I've done. But I think you guys should definitely give it a try. Maybe just Google different dashboards and see how they present it, and see how your dashboards compare to mine. Feel free to change the colors, the background, the titles, anything you think is best. And then yeah, I'll see you in a few seconds with my dashboard. So just pause the video, try it for yourselves, and I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. So this is my my dashboard that I just worked on. So some of the things that I included was the Amazon logo. So I just went on Google, copied and pasted the picture that I wanted, and pasted it onto the worksheet. Something else I also did was I just expanded the KPIs just to make it look more presentable. I also changed the column colors to gray. So I thought this would be best just to really highlight the electronics category, and so that you can clearly see that electronics is way above computer and accessories and home and kitchen and so on and so forth. So I thought it'd be really good to show. You obviously have the rectangular box, which I put in during the video. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it, aside from making sure that the charts were the same size and it's all just symmetrical in terms of the sizes and the boxes. I think it's just really important so that when you first see it, everything just looks really neat and really tidy. I think it's an important aspect also. But yeah, so this is my final dashboard. You're able to take away some good insights from this. I think some quite simple insights. So the first thing being obviously electronics being the highest sold in all of the categories, and then you have Friday and Saturday mornings being the common time and day to purchase all of the items during the week, which is again interesting. I figured it would definitely be the nighttime. You also have the sum of sales for electronics being a massive majority of computing accessories. You can definitely do percentages also to figure out the exact percentage. So, but that makes a lot of sense. You know, electronics do tend to cost a lot higher. There's a lot of like TVs and just electronics that cost a lot more, whereas computers and accessories tend to be more like USBs and smaller products that cost like £10 to £15. And with the average discount of like 50%, it's quite high in general or overall. But if a customer did see a TV for £600 and it was half off for 300, you know, they're definitely going to be tempted to buy it. The rating count for electronics is quite high as well. So this is what people tend to go on Amazon for, according to dataset. So it's more for electronics rather than anything else. And with the rating and the average rating is all 4s and above, which is really good. It just shows there's high customer satisfaction. And although there are quite a lot of excellent ones, there are a lot of fair reviews also, which can definitely be looked at. We can definitely do like a deeper dive into the analysis because we do have the data for the reviews. So we can extract the fair reviews, see what they say, pick up the common words like, you know, the functionality. They might say it's not working, bad quality, so on and so forth, and then, you know, then recommend different ways to decrease it or maybe suggest a few ways. But yeah, there's so much you can do with this data set, like I said before, but it's just a very basic analysis of the key things just to practice using Excel skills and creating a dashboard. But yeah, so this is my analysis. Thank you so much for joining part 1 and part 2. Please share your dashboards in the comments or any links that you guys have or any comments on the videos. If there's anything I can do better, let me know. I'm definitely happy to listen out and improve. But yeah, again, thank you for joining. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.